So can Vishal Mega Mart give multi-bagger returns is what people are thinking.
Why is everyone getting into IPOs? Is it really interesting? Am I missing out on something?
75% of the entire IPOs which came out in 2024 actually gave listing gains.
People feel because we are investing 2 lakhs, our probability of getting the IPO increases.
Mahindra has very blatantly infringed on their trademark.
You know, somebody is growing, somebody is there to pull you down.
Mahindra is a repeat offender in my opinion.
Just coming out of blue and like snatching it away doesn't look cool, right?
Elon Musk would have wanted for his Tesla Cybertruck.
Quick way to make big money.
Worse experience and cheaper prices.
Mahindra could be in a situation where they have to pay thousands of crores in fines. Come on, guys, let us support our country, our companies, our products, right?
Made in India, made for India, giving real value to Indians at the right price. So I am definitely with Mahindra. I'm cheering for them.
So the markets have bounced back really well. Things are looking entirely in green. Every single stock has moved back up. And I think everyone's fear of the bear market has gone away completely.
Absolutely. I mean, investors would be very happy, but traders are not. If you look at today's expiry, it's been so volatile. Both buyers and sellers got really chopped off, man.
One of the craziest days in the recent past is what I would say. And that's where I'm also not really happy that one of our trading, or almost all of our trading strategies are in loss. Even one of the trading strategies is making nearly 4% loss in this expiry cycle. So not really happy there. But yeah.
But I think that's okay. It's part of the game.
Yeah, that is the nature of trading, right? That's how trading is. You cannot expect profits every week or there will be losses from time to time. What matters is your long-term performance. But yeah, we are humans. The emotional hits are real. But yes, moving on is what we can do here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where I would like to formally announce one important change for all of you viewers out there. Based on your feedback in all of the recent Aftermarket Podcast comments, right? We have decided to change up the first section of this show quite a bit. So the first section is usually markets, where we discuss in depth about what happened to Nifty, what are the levels you should be watching out for. But we have decided that we'll be shortening it quite a bit, and we would like to get your feedback on that as well.
Again, because that is not the original objective of the Aftermarket Podcast, right? Because even when we three sat and when we were brainstorming as to what to do, the objective was never to, hey, go into market and do a postmortem and tell what exactly happened to Nifty and what could happen to Nifty. So that is more from a pure option traders vibe, but that is not what we are doing here. We have anyways spent our time trading and looking at the markets. Now we have gotten out the market. It's in the evening. We have to have fun around the market.
Absolutely.
So every week, I'm sure there are a lot of interesting stories in the market, right? Very interesting stuff happening in the market. And I personally always love to talk about those stories. And we've been doing that a lot in our office. After office time, before going home, we talk about such stories. And we really wanted to put out those stories in front of you. So that's the real objective of the Aftermarket Podcast. Because we kept that market section in the beginning because we thought it was cool. It was kind of messing around with the objective of the podcast. So we are kind of thinking, hey, let's not do a lot of in-depth markets discussion, but let's actually do the original objective, which is to come back, have a very relaxed, unwinding sort of a thing where we talk about interesting stories in the market, where we also want to give you value, some entertainment as well. So that is what we are planning to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for all new and aspiring investors, we want to spark that intellectual curiosity in them, right?
Absolutely.
And that fun casual discussion where you are, as always, the fourth participant in this discussion. So let's start off officially with the 4th episode of the Aftermarket Podcast.
Let's get started.
This is Ajay, this is Nihal.
Hi.
And this is Sharik Shamsin,
Hi,
CEO and co-founder of MarketFeed. So, what's our first interesting story of the week?
Most interesting stuff happening is another exciting IPO coming out.
Yeah.
So we know 2024 has been the year of big IPOs, a lot of people making a lot of money, but before the year is ending, another big IPO coming out. So it is one exciting IPO. At the same time, it is a supermarket brand doing their IPO and the name is none other than Vishal Mega Mart. So I always think that these supermarket brands are very exciting. Retail investors always had to be a part of it, always used to discuss about it. So yeah, that is what is really interesting.
Even in our local hometown, right? people often tend to invest in local supermarkets, and that's a very interesting thing that I've seen happening. Your friend will have a supermarket, someone.
Yeah.
But these are real legit ways for you to get into the supermarket or hypermarket business.
Absolutely.
Where IPOs like this can be wealth creators. I think it'll be a very interesting topic.
And Vishal Mega Mart also, right? I remember, I hope you anyways know, a lot of audience also knows. So I did my college education in Jamshedpur.
Okay.
So I studied from NIT Jamshedpur. So I am again from Kerala. So Kerala, I have never seen Vishal Mega Marts. So when I went to Jamshedpur back in 2012, during my college days there, that is where for the very first time I saw Vishal Mega Mart. So that part is also there. So when I saw them doing their IPO, I'm like, hey, this is interesting, right? So now let me be very specific here. So this is becoming very interesting because investors are really concerned and caring about, hey, can this play out a Dmart sort of a story? Can this give multi-bagger returns? So can Vishal Mega Mart give multi-bagger returns is what people are thinking for multiple legit reasons. Reason number one is Dmart, if you remember, did its IPO in 2017. And from 2017 till 2021, that's in 4 years alone, it gave over 900% returns.
Absolutely. With just Dmart stock, somebody who have invested into Dmart has gained multi-bagger returns and people are still betting on it. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Still betting on it, even though from 2021 till now, which is again the last 3-4 years, Dmart has not given any returns to shareholders. In fact, Dmart is down 35% in the last 3 years. So that's a different story. So my point being, this Vishal Mega Mart piece is interesting because people are expecting that multi-bagger sort of a story playing out. Again, it has happened with Future Retail also. Yeah. Again, story is different. How they ended is different. Future Retail, the big bazaar, as everyone knows. So the listed company is Future Retail. So Future Retail eventually had to announce bankruptcy and get out of business. But in their prime, they did IPO in 2016, and from 2016 till 2018, they made more. They gave shareholders more than 500% returns. So definitely the story is right. People are kind of expecting or looking forward to a multi-bagger sort of a returns from Vishal Mega Mart. So, Ajay, what do you think? What are numbers telling?
So, if you're talking about Vishal Mega Mart, I think always the comparison should be with Dmart. They are the closest competitor, and the numbers give a very interesting story. So, Vishal Mega Mart has close to 8,900, 9,000 crores in revenue, while Dmart has a revenue of 50,000 crores. Similarly, if you're looking at the profit numbers, Vishal Mega Mart is having nearly 450 to 500 crores and Dmart is having 3,000 crores in profit.
Which means that Vishal Mega Mart is nearly 1/5 the size of Dmart of sorts.
Yeah, it is kind of in that range. And even if you're looking at the valuation, interestingly, it's following that same number. The valuation of Vishal Mega Mart for its current IPO, it's expected to be 40,000 crores. Dmart with its current market cap is around 2.5 lakh crore. So
in 5-6 times in terms of valuation as well.
So profit numbers, revenue numbers, valuation numbers, all looking at the same range. So you can expect all the ratios to be the same as well. PE, PB, not PB, PE ratio will also be in a similar level for both of these.
So it's a chota Dmart of sorts is what we can understand. But how has the revenue growth and growth overall has been?
So if you're looking at the last 3 years, both Dmart and Vishal Mega Mart, they've grown at 28% CAGR revenue. Right? And that's good, right? They've wildly different markets, I believe, wildly different number of stores, but both of them, being in the space they are, have grown at 28 to 30% CAGR in revenue.
But given Dmart is growing from a larger base, but Vishal Mega Mart is growing from a lower base. So I would have loved to see Vishal Mega Mart growing at faster paces than Dmart. That's something which I strongly feel.
So this is where I want to talk about the whole fundamental way of working of this business, right? So where we are seeing now new businesses coming into quick commerce, where we are seeing Blinkit, where we are seeing Zepto, we are seeing Instamart. They are growing at much larger scale and then revenues are compounding a lot faster. They are actually making more money also. Then we see these stores where Vishal Mega Mart and then let's say for that matter Future Group, which is Big Bazaar, being closed. Why are they getting closed? Maybe people don't want to go to a store, have such a high capex business that they want to run, where people actually have to take that effort to go into the store and then buy stuff. So I think that is slowly fading down and I don't see much of a future there to some extent. So that could be a major blocker for these guys.
That's very true. The larger narrative is definitely shifting towards quick commerce and people at their convenience of their home ordering stuff and stuff reaching people to their home, to their doorstep in 10 minutes. So that's a world where companies like these are inviting people to come to the stores. That's definitely a valid point.
I'll give you the numbers there also. Interestingly, Blinkit in its Q2 report made or said that they made a revenue of 1,150 crores. That's
Okay.
in a single quarter.
Okay.
Now, if you extrapolate that, you're reaching somewhere around 4,500 crores in revenue a year.
Yeah.
That's already half of what Vishal Mart is doing.
Yeah.
Right? Vishal Mega Mart is doing.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, they're already at a good scale. They're growing rapidly. They're growing 100%. When we're talking about 30% year-on-year growth with Vishal Mega Mart and Blinkit, the other guys are growing at 100%, and I think they're capturing the cream of the Indian market.
That's a good point. They are capturing the cream. The
Yeah.
quick commerce companies are capturing the cream of the Indian market, while the lower strata or the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities of the entire Indian market is kind of left open. I mean, it will take quick commerce to go there,
Yeah.
the digital penetration to reach there,
Yeah.
people being comfortable in ordering online and maybe paying sometimes a little extra to get that convenience. So that tier 2, 3, 4 stories are open. Dmart has definitely done something there. So maybe Vishal Mega Mart could go there and build for Bharat and become that Chota next Dmart sort of a thing. Is also something which I think might play out.
So this is where even I've looked into Vishal Mega Mart's business. So they clearly mentioned that DMart is again focused on tier 1 and tier 2 places, like rightly you've mentioned.
Correct.
And Vishal Mega Mart is actually focusing on tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 places where DMart hasn't entered yet. And they are huge there. That is why you could see the number of stores difference also.
And maybe that's why even I saw the very first store in a city like Jamshedpur. right?
Absolutely.
If you're looking at the numbers, the largest 3 states for Vishal Mega Mart is Uttar Pradesh, Assam and Karnataka.
Interesting.
Anyone in Bangalore, I'm sure they would already know. But their other major markets are Uttar Pradesh and Assam.
But even though all of this is looking good, and the point that you have mentioned that they are doing it for the Bharat and they are called as the Chota DMart or mini DMart of sorts. But I have another concern of their quality that they provide. So even though they are competing with DMart and we here also are actively comparing it with DMart's revenue and their profits and everything, I feel the store's quality and the product quality is also not that great when compared to DMart. And because they are situated in tier 2, 3 majorly and targeting there, they're compromising on the quality a little bit. And I don't know how far that will take them.
Yeah, so I have an interesting story. When I moved into my house in Bangalore, I think 3-4 years ago, one of my friends suggested me to go to shop in Vishal Mega Mart instead of DMart. That's the first time I'm hearing about the brand. And I've already been to a DMart. But when I went into this Vishal Mega Mart store, it looked nothing like a DMart. Okay? It was like a scary place to be in, lights not working, things all on the floor. But then quality was okay and prices were dirt cheap. Right? So,
Cheaper than DMart?
cheaper than DMart. That's their catch. They're saying, we'll give you the same quality, worse experience and cheaper prices. Right?
But-
I don't think that's
but when
officially their plan, but that's how it looked to
But
me.
when we look at the stores, I mean, DMart stores are so cramped, they are so claustrophobic. It's like everywhere there is stuff. I feel DMart is also on the similar lines in this.
Same. I think it's both the same. But interestingly, all the products that I bought from there, I'm happy with it. Had a huge bill. I'm sure it would have been double, triple if I shopped somewhere else, right? Saved a lot of money, got good quality products. Experience was not great, but maybe that's okay.
But do you think Star Market again coming into this segment and chipping in, and they are also offering at much better prices when compared to DMart also? So recently my sister started going to Star Market a lot, where she's actually appreciating the quality, which is better than DMart and price more lesser than DMart.
So even I thought about it, right? Your Star Markets, your Reliance Freshers,
Yeah.
all of these are just supermarkets.
Yeah.
And Vishal Mega Mart is operating in more of a, what's the right word? Hypermarket of sorts, where
Yeah.
it's not just your grocery, daily essentials, but there are even more stuff like maybe like textile, you get footwear and certain other stuff as well. That's where DMart and Vishal Mega Mart are playing. So that difference is also there, right?
Yeah. I think one of the major interesting or driving factor for me to look into this brand was their story. So if you're looking into their story, in 2003, it was founded as a company called as Vishal Mart. And it was founded by Mr. Ram Chandra Agarwal in 2001. I'm sorry, right? And they grew really fast. 2007, they did their IPO.
It was a supermarket chain.
It was a supermarket
got
chain. And they had in-house manufacturing of apparel, footwear, as you were saying, right? And in 2010, 2007, they did their IPO. 2010, things went for a toss.
So they already did an IPO.
Already did an IPO.
Okay.
This is the V2 retail.
I'll get there. So this is how story of Vishal Mart, right? So Vishal Mart started 2007 IPO. 2010, the company went into huge losses.
Okay.
Okay. So the founder had to carve out the supermarket or hypermarket division and sell it to a third party.
Okay.
For only 70 crore rupees.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Those
what is their IPO valuation right now?
40,000 crore. Yeah. So the founder carved out the hypermarket business. He kept the apparel, manufacturing, everything there. He carved it out. He sold it to a third party. Those were distressed buyers on the other side. And things started looking positive for his company. Okay. Whatever was his company, he renamed it as V2 Retail. It is still trading in the Indian market.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this carved out company, now it's coming out with its IPO.
Got it.
Right? So it changed hands in between. Other people bought it. But what was sold at 70 crores at that time, now is being sold for, or it's being valued at 40,000 crore rupees.
Beautiful.
What a different comeback story.
So it's a hypermarket carved out of another public company,
Yeah.
which has eventually grown so big that it's doing its own IPO.
Yeah.
So now that they are actually coming out with an IPO, and do you think Vishal Mega Mart IPO is going to be a multi-bagger like Dmart?
From all our discussion so far, I think I have a clear mind map here now. So one is the first quick commerce versus retail story. So there, if you have clear conviction, if you think that quick commerce is only going to win, if you want to put all your money only into that, then only invest into Zomatos and Swiggies of the world. But also if you feel that retail for Bharat, the Bharat story, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 retail story is going to play out, that is where you have to look at Dmart and Vishal Mega Mart now that it's joining the journey. So Dmart, if you see, is a trusted brand. It's a large company, proven company. It has already given 900% returns from 2017 to 2021 alone. So multi-bagger sorts of a story. But if you look into Vishal Mega Mart, similar story, trying to play out the story that Dmart did, but the valuation is not really nice at this point of time. So I feel that the story looks good. If you believe in the retail story, you should definitely look at Vishal Mega Mart as a good opportunity. But maybe you can wait for even better valuation to get into something which I feel.
I think that's an amazing conclusion to this topic. That's where I want to talk about the year of 2024. It's coming to an end. We are in December already. I don't know if all of you can believe it. I cannot. But it has been sort of a year of IPOs.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the
Absolutely.
numbers, 1.5 lakh crore being raised from the public markets in the main board of NSE and BSE alone. 1.5 lakh crore rupees.
Crazy.
So, that number is crazy. And I was looking into Vishal Mega Mart IPO. Then there's a MobiKwik IPO coming up as well. And I have this question. Hey, why is everyone getting into IPOs? Is it really interesting? Am I missing out on something? What do you guys think about this?
No, I was looking into some data and these data baffled me. I mean, after looking into this data, I'm like, why wouldn't people discuss about IPOs? Why wouldn't people have this craze towards investing in IPOs, right? I have some amazing numbers here. So the total number of IPOs in the year 2024 so far is 76. Out
Okay.
of the 76 IPOs, 59 IPOs actually gave listing gain.
Only in the main board.
Only in the main board. So number says that 75% of the entire IPOs which came out in 2024 actually gave listing gains. So then the question is, how much listing gains did it give? So the numbers again say that 20 IPOs out of the 59 ones which gave listing gains gave more than 40% listing gains.
Yeah.
That's
That's a good
crazy money.
stat.
So if you think about IPO, it is a quick way to make big money, and that too the entry barrier is very less.
Yeah.
You only need nearly 15,000 rupees to apply for an IPO, and if you get one, and the chances to apply are also so many, like 76 in a year, and if you get, there is a high chance that you can make 20-40% returns. So my question back to you is, why wouldn't people actually take part in IPOs?
But when you're getting so excited about just how many 76 total IPOs coming out in the main board,
Yeah.
there is also another world that exists where SME IPOs are coming
Absolutely,
in.
even that has been a craze this year, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Small and medium enterprises, right?
Absolutely.
yes.
And you know how many IPOs that came from SME segment alone? There are 234 IPOs actually coming in. And out of that, surprisingly, 168 IPOs were profitable.
Listing
And
gains.
Okay.
yes, listing gains. And the percentage comes out around 71%. And 115 stocks. 115 IPOs gave more than 40% returns. While you were mentioning there were just how many stocks? 20 stocks that given more than 40% returns. In SME segment, that is 115 stocks or 115 IPOs giving more than 40% returns. And looking at number, I mean, why wouldn't again people be interested in investing into IPOs again?
Exactly. So this is option trading of sorts. No, like the entry barrier is very less. The money required is very less. You can definitely apply for as many. The money gets blocked in your bank account, but again, people are applying for all these IPOs, and if you get it, the probability to make big money is real. So yeah, people definitely. That's why the craze is there, right?
So I understood that IPOs are interesting. But my question here would be, how can I make money? Do I invest into everything blindly? What should be my strategy here?
No, I see people investing into all IPOs blindly, hoping for, hey, let me get any IPO. Even if I get some IPO, I'll make some money. But I don't think that approach is entirely correct. It shouldn't be blind investment. Again, it's the world of stock market, capital markets. You shouldn't be blindly operating. I strongly feel there is a framework to it. If you actually put in some amount of effort out of all these, I said 76 IPOs and 75% making money. There are 25% of these IPOs which are not doing good.
Absolutely.
So you shouldn't get trapped in bad IPOs as well. I have this famous stories of friends who got Paytm IPO.
Yeah.
They did not get any other IPO. Finally, they got Paytm IPO and they got trapped real bad. Your question is again, like, how do you invest into an IPO? How do you make sure that you're getting into the right company? So again, it's basics of stock market investing, right? I strongly believe number one, fundamental analysis. See, we talked about Vishal Mega Mart now. So we're trying to understand if the company is doing good. We look into its financials. How is it growing? What is the market like? Is there tailwind in the market? Absolutely. Is the macros saying good about the industry? So you do fundamental analysis, definitely good. Number two is this very famous gray market premium, right? So whenever there is an IPO around the corner, all YouTubers, all media start talking about gray market premium. So gray market premium is nothing but what people outside are paying for the unlisted share compared to the listing price.
So if I want to buy the shares before it is coming down to IPO, how much I would pay for someone who's already holding the shares, which is off market.
Correct, which is off market. So there will be a premium to it. So that is a grey market premium.
Yeah.
So normally it is seen that you can simply do a Google search whenever an IPO is happening or gonna happen. You can do a simple Google search as to Vishal Mega Mart, for example. Vishal Mega Mart grey market premium, GMP, and you'll get to know what it is. And if it is higher than whatever is the proposed listing price, probability is high that you will get a listing gain. So that is another way of doing it. Another way, third way, which is very interesting, which is a statistical finding that we did, is that so whenever an IPO is doing, the subscription data of that is public.
Yeah.
How much is the retail subscription? How much is the institutional subscription as well? So there, if you see that the institution subscription is nearly 40x.
Yeah.
That says that. So in the last year, 2024, if you see, whenever institutions subscription is 40x, that is oversubscribed for 40x, all of those IPOs gave listing gains.
Absolutely.
100% of IPOs gave listing gains when the institution subscription is oversubscribed by 40x. So I think that's also a good marker there.
That's a good marker. And by institution, you mean QIB category.
Yes, QIB category. So again, that is an information which is available. So if an IPO is live, by the last day of the listing, towards the end of the day, towards afternoon, evening, you can actually go to Google and search Vishal Mega Mart QIB subscription and you'll get the data. If the number says 40x oversubscription, I think you can probably put your money. Again, not an advice. This is just data driven. In the last 1 year, this has happened. So yeah.
Absolutely. And like rightly you've said, right? So we have to do the basic fundamental check before, because we've seen that happening in the SME IPOs also.
Correct.
Where there are no addresses to the company. There is no people working there. People come out with some random company IPOs and they are getting listed and people are making money. And later those shares are dumped and people lose money.
Correct.
So when you rightly mentioned about the QIB percentage, right? So this is where the retailers are so obsessed in getting into this IPOs and increase their probability. They'll try to get into this HNI category. So what is HNI category? So if you put in 2 lakhs of funds into taking an IPO, you are categorized into HNI.
Yeah, you can apply as an
HNI. And people feel because we are investing 2 lakhs, our probability of getting the IPO increases. But that is not the case. Actually, the odds are worst for the HNI category. In fact, if you actually go with the retailer quota, you will more likely get an IPO rather than putting into an HNI category.
Yeah, even I have seen the oversubscription numbers are much higher in the HNI category. So, like you rightly said, your odds of getting the IPO is better if you apply as a retail. And that's where I think we have to come to the most important point here, because it's obvious to people that IPOs are easily accessible. You just have to put in 15,000 rupees and there's a high chance that you can make money. It sounds like magic, right? It's a very easy thing to do. But that is where the real problem is. the chances of getting an IPO is very less, right? I mean, we
Absolutely.
all have applied for multiple IPOs. We know friends and family
Yeah.
who's applying for IPOs, and viewers also applying to a lot of IPOs, but the chance of getting is very, very less. So, Ajay, is there any real practical tips with which we can increase our odds of getting an IPO?
So I'll answer that question with some numbers. So on average, if you're looking at the oversubscription numbers in the retail category, good IPOs are oversubscribed by at least 38x.
Yeah.
That means 1 out of 38 investors have the probability of getting their IPO.
That's very, very small.
Very less,
very
yeah.
less, yeah.
2.5%.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? And it is, what do you say? The more interest in the stock or in the IPO, the more listing gains it will give.
And the lesser odds of getting it. as well.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So there is a catch as always, and this is what the number says.
And again, people try to increase their probability by themselves applying from their multiple
Yes.
different broking accounts.
Yes.
That doesn't work like that. So one small tip I would give is try to at least apply from different PAN accounts.
Correct.
So,
Every PAN is what is counted.
yeah.
Correct.
So maybe from one of your account, then one of your spouse's account, then one of your children's account, father's account. Maybe that might increase your probability. But again, everybody is doing that.
Yeah.
So your again probability is coming
Yeah,
down.
I think that's the only practical way to even attack it.
Absolutely,
right? So,
absolutely.
given all this, given the year 2024 has been the year of IPOs, right? A
Absolutely.
lot of IPOs coming out and them giving great listing gains to people. 75% of the IPOs actually giving listing gains, and most of them giving even more than 40% profits. So, Ajay, what do you think? Is this trend here to stay? Will IPOs in the future also give profits?
Mostly IPOs happen in bull markets. And even if you're looking at this past year, a lot of IPOs happened because the market was really strong. There are certain exceptions like Swiggy, which came out in a bad market, still made money. So I think the only thing that you should be looking into are good fundamentals, QIB or institutional subscription above 40x, as
Yeah.
Sharik said, and good grey market premium. If that is there, I think we are good to go.
And if the luck plays out, yeah, right, like we said, the odd to win an IPO is just 2.5%. The probability is only 2.5%, and it even comes down if the IPO is even interesting and more people are interested. So, yeah, while there is a science to winning at IPOs and making money, the luck will also have to play out. Only then you will actually end up making money. Is also
Absolutely,
very,
absolutely.
very interesting.
So let us move to a different or a interesting topic, which is, we all are aware of Mahindra launching their new EV car, and that has made lot of buzz around, right?
Yeah, in the last podcast also we mentioned it.
Yeah.
Like, after that is when I actually started getting into it and seeing more videos, and it is a crazy car, guys. I mean,
Rear wheel drive,
amazing.
great power,
Yeah.
low price.
Looks amazing, so futuristic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think this is what Elon Musk would have wanted for his Tesla Cybertruck.
Absolutely.
Look.
Absolutely.
The EV car market is going places with the Tata Curve, I guess.
Curve,
Yeah, that model looked crazy, and I thought what
Lamborghini.
can be even better. Now the Mahindra model is even looking better, so looking very interesting.
So-
Sorry to cut you, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So they came out with the car with the model name as BS6E.
Yes.
So
BE6E.
Oh, sorry.
So be sexy. That's what they meant.
Be sexy, so be sexy.
Yeah.
So when you make lot of noise around, right? So there could be some other issues also that can come out when somebody is growing, somebody is there to pull you down, and that is where actually Indigo stepped in and said, "Hey Mahindra, you stole our name. You stole our 6E."
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you see that, right? Whenever you see a Indigo flight, it is all starts with 6E. So
Correct.
that is their trademark. That is their identity for their aircraft.
So 6E is a flight code. It is an international flight code which was assigned to Indigo,
Yeah.
and they even took a trademark for it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right? They
interesting.
took copyright for it. So what I see here is Mahindra has very blatantly infringed on that trademark.
Absolutely.
It's been iconic, right?
Yeah.
Indigo has always embraced it, that 6C turning to sexy.
Yeah.
Right? I think Indigo only brought it to the mainstream. As I strongly agree to that. I've been seeing that for a very long time. And if Indigo is actually going with a case on Mahindra, I see nothing wrong in it, because Indigo put in all the effort to popularize it and build a brand around it. And Mahindra just coming out of blue and like snatching it away doesn't look cool, right?
Yeah.
But again, my point being, aren't this regular stuff in the corporate world? Some company doing something, some other company slightly infringing on copyrights and taking inspiration or copying stuff. Like, why should investors be even caring about this? I mean, Indigo investors, Mahindra investors, I think they are the people who are at least see, there are people who are listening to the story and finding fun in the story, but then there are real investors in Indigo and Mahindra trying to understand, hey, will this have any impact on the stock price? And I think, what impact would it even have? This is just another story which will just play out, right?
It is just not another story, right? If things go actually bad, Indigo goes to a length, then they can actually give a penalty to Mahindra that you took our name and you defamed or you diluted our trademark or our legacy, and they can actually fine Mahindra and probably
As in the court could penalize
Mahindra, and they could be in a situation where they have to pay thousands of crores or in fines.
Has
And
it happened?
absolutely, right? We have seen that happening earlier also. 2008 or around that, there was an actual very big case between Adidas and Payless shoe. I hope you know about the
yes,
Payless
I
shoes,
have
right?
seen Payless shoe stores.
Yeah.
I think they are in India.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Maybe abroad, but I have seen them.
Case was in the US, I'm
So
guessing.
case
Orange color is what Payless
Yeah.
plays.
So they have a shoe manufacturing company. They make shoes and everything. So they actually tried to copy Adidas. So you know the Adidas strip logo that they had, and
3 stripes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I think Payless has 4 stripes.
Yeah.
They're definitely trying to do something around the Adidas
So
story.
then actually Adidas put an infringement case on this Payless.
Okay.
And they actually had to pay $305 million, which is close to 2,500 crores. And that was the settlement that happened there. So
okay.
when brands try to copy some other brand, and if the owner or the major brand that created stuff, or they had the trademark, if they feel that their trademark is getting diluted or their brand is getting defamed by, or somebody else is using it, they can actually put a case in the court and they can file a case and court can penalize them and it can go to any
Which is
extent.
exactly what is happening here, right? I mean, that is what Indigo is doing with Mahindra. So what you're saying is things could get serious.
Yeah.
And if it gets serious and if court decides to do something big about it, then
Yeah.
maybe Mahindra investors might have to
Yeah.
care about it.
If-
Because you're talking about thousands of crores here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If Indigo actually goes to the court and says that they have defamed our logo or our trademark and everything, what if they put a case for some 10,000 crores or 20,000 crores fine? Then
I
it's a
don't know,
huge
man.
dent on Mahindra, right?
Yeah, the story you said happened in the US and we are here in India. And I'm not really sure about what could happen in the courts here.
And also Payless's infringement looked more serious. They put that same logo on shoes.
Yeah.
Very well knowing that people will
Oh.
anyway mistake the brand.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like Mahindra starting an airlines and then putting
Yes.
60 there would have been like similar to the
Similar.
story. But
Yeah.
I get the point. Thousands of crores is definitely not small money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if it comes any company for that matter, even if they're making any kinds of revenue, it would definitely be a hit.
So that's where I think this is only part of the entire picture. Mahindra is a repeat offender in my opinion. I mean, everyone makes fun of them for copying Thar, right? I mean, Thar is
Oh,
copied
man.
from Wrangler.
Remember that day we came out of the office and there was a car written Jeep Rubicon and you were like, hey, there is a Jeep Rubicon there.
Yeah.
And we walked till there and it turned out to be a Thar.
Mahindra.
Yeah.
Modified Thar.
Yeah, modified Thar.
So that's one of the earliest examples of Mahindra. We'll get to that. That's an interesting story in itself. Then even the recent Mahindra rebranding, if you looked at their logo in the recent car launch, it looks a lot like Meta logo. Have you noticed it?
Yes.
So in the 1940s, Mahindra obtained a license to assemble and sell Willys Jeep in India. Okay, and that license still holds today. And they have modified it multiple times. And even the Thar that they're selling today is a variation or a lookalike of the Willys Jeep. So in India, they have the license to do so. But the moment they decide to export is when things start getting messy. This was a court case in the US court. Even in Australia, where Mahindra is really strong, the Thar is not sold there.
So only when they are selling it in India, they don't have any issue. But if they try to go international and try to sell it somewhere else, they could have some issues there.
Yeah, people actually make fun of Mahindra.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm also thinking. People shouldn't be making fun of Mahindra or diss Mahindra because they have the license.
they have the license,
Yeah.
is what I understand.
Interesting. This
In
is
India,
great.
in India, for them to sell what they're selling today, there are no issues. There are no cases in India against Mahindra today.
Yeah, so that's where I want to ask you, Nihal, right? Things haven't been that great for Mahindra because a lot of allegations coming in, right? So one is Indigo actually filing a case against Mahindra for using 6C. And then there is, like Ajay mentioned earlier, their new logo looks like Meta. And then the larger narrative of Mahindra copying Jeep for their Thar model as well. So what do you think that Mahindra investors should feel like?
I mean, the investor should actually feel proud about the company is what I believe. Like from my bottom of my heart, that is what I believe. So when any Indian companies try to do something, deliver good products at good price, people talk about that company very badly. So we see China doing this a lot. They copy stuff from somewhere else and then try to sell it not in India alone, everywhere around the world. Nobody questions them. People still bash China about copying stuff and all. But when we look into the Mahindra, it is made in India, made for India, for the right quality and right price. Then I don't see any problem in this, right? I mean, come on, guys, let us support our country, our companies, our products, right?
But if there is an official trademark, I think that argument falls apart. 100% copying is not right. They use the exact same 6C term, understanding that it is already a trademark. I mean, marketfeed also, we have a trademark. So if someone opens a shop nearby saying marketfeed stationery shop, we'll obviously file a case. We don't know what quality they're selling. They might even put the same logo. We won't sit silent.
Yeah, that's where I go back to your earlier point. If not for a stationery shop, what if they're doing something in the space that we are operating? We'll definitely have a problem, and that's where we'll move. But my point that I'm getting from both of you is the fact that made in India, made for India, giving real value to Indians at the right price. So I am definitely with Mahindra. I'm cheering for them. I'm seeing them to even do better.
And I don't think it'll be a huge impact on the stock, and that as Nihal said, they'll both get over it, and any court settlements, if any, I don't think it'll be for a huge amount, because this doesn't look intentional, and this is not in the same business as we talked about earlier.
Even if the worst case might be the court asking them to settle this and someone changing their name. No, Mahindra probably changing their name, and not a huge impact to shareholders or stock price for that matter. That's what I feel.
But again, anyway, Mahindra lawyers are backing, saying that these both are two different classes. You are in the aviation field and we are in the automobile field. So both are two extremes. Nobody is going to relate saying that if we put a 6E in a car, they would relate it to a aviation company. Absolutely, that is not happening. And even for the fact, our podcast name, the Aftermarket Podcast, right? If you actually say that, what is aftermarket? For us, we know that it is after market hours, which is stock market. Yeah. But again, for a regular random guy, a general person, if you go and say, what is aftermarket? He would relate it to a after sales or a second-hand product or something.
Correct. So mostly in the automobile industry, right?
Automobile industry. So both are two different worlds, two different scenarios. So people wouldn't relate to two things that even though they have a similar name. So I feel Mahindra will get over it. Correct. Their stock will be going up and up and up, just like how all the other Indian stocks are performing. I see no problem for Mahindra investors to be panicked or worried about.
Yeah, and then there are nuances of trademark law and rights. So there are classes of trademarks which obviously we don't know.
Absolutely.
And again, we never have intention to talk about any of those. Yeah. Our point is just to discuss the very interesting story of what's happening with Mahindra. But yeah,
I think that's where we should wrap up today's episode. A lot more interesting things happened this week. Bitcoin hitting $100,000.
That is a monumental moment.
For the first time ever in its history. We also saw GDP numbers in India not looking great, and a lot of other stories also playing out. But I feel these were the three most juicy and interesting stories.
I am like a little bit worried about tomorrow's RBI interest rate decision coming up. What would they come out with? And even a lot more news on SGB is going to come out tomorrow. Correct. So much of interesting stuff is going to happen on Friday.
Hopefully we'll get a lot of things to talk about in the next week.
Absolutely.
By the time we publish this episode, maybe the viewers might get that idea, but we'll talk about it in depth next week if required.
If required.
Absolutely.
So let's wrap up today's show. As always, make sure you subscribe to this channel if you like the content that we're putting out here. We also have a clips channel, Market Feed Clips. I'll be putting it here in the I button. You can go check that out if you want bite-sized versions of each of these stories.
And also, if you don't want to share these long videos with your friends, Clips channel will definitely be of help, because we are definitely talking about multiple stories in our podcast. And if you think one story will be helpful or will be relatable with one of your friends, then go to our Clips channel, take that clip and just share that with your friends.
And the clips from our last podcast are loved by these guys. I am only seeing the numbers moving up a lot, the subscribers growing, the views are growing. So I feel so many people want to consume our long form into a short form content where small stories are in a crisp and short manner are being loved by our viewers. So I would definitely recommend all of you to even check our clips channel.
That's right. And also, I know Ajay keeps talking about you being the fourth participant. Right? We really mean that. We really mean that. And that's where, even from the last podcast, we're taking your feedback and learning from it and making this better for you. So, again, that stands. We really want you to, in the comment section, tell us what we can do better. Where are we making things not really nice? How can we do better? And we'll definitely take that and just keep things going better and better and better. Yeah.
I'd like to wrap up the show with one interesting comment that came under the Clips channel.
Okay.
So this one guy came and said, "Hey, wow, what a crazy channel. Interesting conversations. You guys have a long way to go."
Yeah.
Because he only knows us from that Clips channel.
Absolutely.
He saw 100, 500 subscribers there.
Yeah,
And he was
yeah.
like, oh, amazing conversations, guys. So that's what we want to hear from all of
Absolutely.
our viewers here as well. So let's wrap up today's episode. This is Ajay Ajit signing off. See you all again next week in the 5th episode of the Aftermarket Podcast. So see you all again then.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.